But I think that everybody needs to understand that there's a responsibility you have to take in a relationship, because there's two ways. There's like being intentional about building strong relationship, or there's being passive, which is kind of sitting back and just hoping somebody else does something.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
Okay, we're back. Here's part 2. Going through remembering this past year and getting, just answering some really helpful end of year questions. And so, okay, let's move on to the next one. How about this one? I like this one. What is the biggest piece of unfinished business you still have from last year? Like something you still maybe need to complete, or something you still maybe need to say or do or forgive, any of that kind of stuff. You guys got anything?
Biggest piece of unfinished business. I really feel like we finished a lot of what we needed to do, because what was really cool on church on Sunday is they called it Shredder Sunday. So anything is like, you could shred, you could write, they had you write stuff down on a piece of paper and you'd put it in a paper shredder. You could write down like unforgiveness for blank, or you could write down, I want to shred this unfair, tax that I got, or something like that. You could shred anything. And that was really fun. So I feel like you could really finish off the year in a good way, because that was, yesterday for us?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really fun.
Yeah, that was really good. Anything for you, Abbie?
Well, when I think about it, there was something that when we were doing goal setting that scared me for a while, because so there was this goal that if Mom and Dad, if we made $1,000, however we made it, then Mom and Dad would match us. If we did it in 1 year, that we made $1,000 all by ourselves, and they would match it. So I did that, and then the next year it was a $2,000 goal. So Crissy completed it, and then I didn't make it. I didn't complete the whole year. And then, it put me at like a point where I didn't think I could make enough money. And it put a lot of fears inside of me. So for this upcoming year, I'm going to make $2,000, and I'm going to make a passive income business is my goal for this upcoming year. And Dad and Mom were helping me work through a lot of fears that I had and make a confession to help me push through it.
Mm-hmm. It's really good.
Thank you.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, we'll talk about that a little deeper in some future episodes, because it was really powerful. I think a lot of people need to hear it. The reality is, you Abbie, and you too, Crissy, of course, all of our kids, we pride ourselves on being achievers. We like to go work and get stuff done and win at things and give it our best. And we don't always succeed at everything, but our philosophy is that we're going to go for it. And that we're going to really do our best. And that way, even if we don't succeed, at least we're proud of ourselves and we laid it all out there. And, one thing that can happen sometimes is when you, for whatever reason, don't hit a goal, when you have a history of hitting goal after goal after goal after goal, you are for sure a finisher. Like we are very similar. All of us are in this, where we don't really feel like something's done until it's done, know? And, so that year was challenging on you, because it was like your first time really like setting a goal and then not hitting it.
Yeah, it was. Like, we do a lot of different money goals, whether it's like, I think $100 in a week or whatever. We do all these different ones, and it was sometimes I don't know, like we've done different like awards for it, one thing is like we each got our own excess, I think was something we might have done, or matching it. And then when I just didn't hit that $2,000 goal, it really set me back. It was like, really, I didn't make it,
And then you like meditated on that. You like dwelt on it. You let the thought just keep circling in your mind over and over that I didn't hit this.
And yeah, and
I
then
failed.
Yeah, and then when like this upcoming, 2023 came up, and Crissy was getting her award, I didn't even set anything to achieve it. I was like kind of done with it. I'm like, just didn't even want to set anything. I didn't even want to start anything because I was afraid I wouldn't finish it. So
Yeah, and that's something. So like, that's how the adversary works in your brain. And all of a sudden, because you didn't accomplish something, even though no one else told you that means anything about you, you kind of took a meaning, because that's what the adversary does. And when he hits you when you're down, and he tries to work on your identity. He tries to convince you that, okay, it's not just that you missed a goal, it's that you're the type of person that can't hit goals.
yeah,
Like, that's identity, right? And that's what Satan tries to do with your thoughts. And that's why you have to cast those thoughts down. You have to, like, we'll talk about how we do this with countering those lies, right? And putting the work in to do that.
yeah.
Right. So anyways, but it was good, because I know you've kind of figured this stuff out, and we've had some really big breakthroughs here, which has been awesome. So, okay. How about this one? Let's list off who are 3 different people that had a huge impact on your life this past year. Positive one. Okay. And it can be literally like actual physical people. It could be an author of a book that was really powerful, anything like that. So who are some people?
I got a couple. It was Mom, Dad, and then Pastor Melissa. Pastor Melissa is the pastor of our church, and the reason that she impacted me so much was because one day we were at church and she told me to stand up. Everybody else was sitting down. She told me to stand up, and she told me that she had a dream that I would write books, that God had told her that I would write books and I would write series like Little House on the Prairie. So, yeah, that was super impactful. And then Mom and Dad.
Books that also have a lot of like moral lessons in them.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And godly foundation, but they're also very creative.
Yeah.
Right.
And like, it really resonated with me because I've been trying kind of to like write a book or write something. I've kind of have like scraps of things that I've written before. Like one was about dreams, and then I try to write like a little children's book, and then I try to write poems. Like I've tried multiple times, so it really resonated knowing that that's really what God wants me to do in life, is do that. And the way that Mom and Dad help me is whether it's like breaking through some stuff, or it's just they're always alongside me and I can always tell them my feelings. Like we were just recently talking about, maybe I don't know when it was, when me, Crissy, and Mom got on and we were talking about the mini dates that we did and how they weren't big. Like me and Mom would literally last year I should say, go out and Mom would be on the treadmill and she'd be doing her walk, and I had to get to sit right next to her and talk to her about just my feelings and my thoughts and everything. So they've always been alongside helping me.
Yep. And, there's so much into what you're saying right there. One is, I know when we did some stuff with Breakthrough with just overcoming some of the obstacles we were just discussing about goals.
Yeah.
I remember, the thing that makes that so impactful though, Abbie, is that you take the time to really allow yourself to be vulnerable with us.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're not, then we don't actually get to the root of it, and even when you have those little mini dates with Mom down in the gym, it requires you being proactive enough to go down there.
Yeah.
I try to teach people all the time. It's good for listeners out there, and even for whether you're a parent or a kid listening to this. But I think that everybody needs to understand that there's a responsibility you have to take as in a relationship. Like for instance, who really determines the closeness of a relationship between a parent and their kid? Who determines it the most? What would you guys say?
You. I'd say you determine it.
You meaning who? Me or you?
Me. If
I agree.
Relationship, then I got to make sure I take the responsibility to grow that relationship.
I agree, because there's 2 ways. There's like being intentional about building strong relationship, or there's being passive, which is kind of sitting back and just hoping somebody else does something. And so when you're passive, then you can feel like you're left out. You can feel like maybe a mom or dad doesn't spend as much time with you as they do with another kid or something like that, or with somebody else. But the reality is it's up to the kid to determine that level of quality of relationship.
Yep.
And it needs to be taught though, because otherwise, if you don't know that, then you can be confused about that. And we teach you guys this all the time.
Yeah.
Like we got a million things going on too. We need you guys to be proactive. You don't want to just sit in the background and be like, well, why did you spend so much more? Why do you spend your time in the gym with Abbie every day? Right? Well, that's because Abbie just comes down there and wants to spend time. Doesn't mean that you have to come now compete with Abbie in the gym. It just means, though, like, you need to be proactive. You know, what are some of the ways that you're proactive about relationship, Crissy?
Well, maybe if it's like, I don't know, I see mom in the laundry room and I go in there and I'm like, hi, mom, thanks for starting the load for me or whatever. Because we have laundry days. That's what we do for chores sometimes. So that, or if it's like, I see my dad watching the game downstairs and I go and sit next to him because my second love language is his physical touch. So I go lay on his shoulder.
Right. And that's a great point, because it'd be so easy just to kind of go sit in a different chair or not even come down, because maybe it's not even really that thing that matters the most to you. You kind of like it, but not like me and Drews like it, you know? But when you come sit next to me, then it's like we get some good quality time. We're doing something anyways, but you're the proactive one about it. And it really does go a long way. So, okay, Crissy, who's 3 people that impacted you this year?
So mine are kind of similar to Abbie's, but my parents asked me this a few weeks ago and I said, mom and dad, and they're like, okay, that counts as 1. I'm like, okay. Okay, so then, because they're always, like, whatever I'm going through, whether it's a spiritual thing or like a money thing, whatever it is, they always help me go through it. And one of the things that I learned also this year was that even if I don't at first like being vulnerable or having to like tell them what's going on, then I'm extremely thankful for it a few months later, because I know that I have to push myself to be vulnerable sometimes, because I'm one to be like, I want to be tough and I don't want to tell anybody because I don't want them to respond in a way that'll hurt me or whatever. But I need to push myself, because it might hurt for a moment, but the lasting effect will help me for the rest of my life. So that was mom and dad was one. And then I said Pastor Colin and Pastor Melissa, because it was really cool being welcomed in part of a church that I remember before we got to Boise, Boise, I said it right, Dad.
Nice job. You're like a local now.
Yeah.
It's not Boise, it's Boise.
Yeah. So before we got here, I would envision myself like being able to go around the church and like know the pastor's names and then know me and know how to do things and stuff like that. So that was fun, because they would sometimes pause and give us hugs or something like that. And they have really impactful teaching. And I love just being a part of the Awaken culture. So that's been really fun. And my third one, as you guys know, was my sister Abbie here. Because I was going through some stuff this year and I needed help through it. And she was like, we sleep in the same room, and she's always with me. So she's always catching me with certain things. Like if I was making a mistake or going the wrong direction, she'd be like, Crissy, why are you doing that or whatever? And then she'd make me answer these questions like, why are you doing that or whatever? Even if I didn't want to answer them, she'd make me answer them. And then I realized my mistake. And she wasn't being too forceful about it. She was just being her, but like forcing me to be me again. And so I feel like when my mom and dad asked me that, I realized that a piece of unfinished business was that I haven't told her this year. So she was curling my hair, and we were getting ready for church, since she's very good at curling hair. And I'm like, and I told her, I'm like, Abbie, you were very impactful to me this year. And she just looks at me through the mirror. She's like, thanks. And I'm like, score.
Yeah, nice job. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how much when someone makes a difference in our lives that we can like internalize it and be super grateful on the inside.
Right.
And then you almost realize, I don't think I've ever told that person.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know why that is. It just kind of seems to happen. But how much does it mean, though, when they do tell you? Did that feel good when you heard that, Abbie?
Yeah, it did feel good. I'm like, oh, you recognize. Like, first of all, I just did because I love my sister so much. I didn't want her to stay in that state that she was at. So it also just filled me up knowing that she was getting on a better track. Because, like, our parents, they're busy. And, like, I'm with her. I associate with her because we're sisters and we hang out with each other so much, because mom and dad has helped us build that connection with each other. And through that connection, we're very similar in different things. So I really can understand her feelings and know how to really speak into her. So just through that, like, I didn't even really need a thank you. It just really helped me feel good. And I knew that Crissy was just going and feeling herself. But when I heard it, I was like, oh, yeah, you're welcome. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot, I think, to all of us when you go above and beyond and you're doing the right thing, and when someone recognizes it. I mean, it just reinforces what you're doing for each other. And
Yeah.
it does. It is pretty special.
Yeah, and also if like even if you're not a words of affirmation love language person, I mean, that's my first. So I tend to like give them because however you like to receive love, you normally view that as how you think love should be given. So I give words of affirmation or physical touch or whatever it is. So that was cool seeing her take that so well cuz her love languages are like quality time and things, but they're not like the same as mine, except physical touch. But anyway, hers
Hugs are important.
Hugs are very important. So yeah, that was cool seeing her receive it in such a good way.
Okay, one last one before we end this episode. What was maybe the biggest risk you took this past year?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Could have been anything like even might even line up to what you just said about choosing to be vulnerable when you didn't feel like it. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah, I feel like multiple times my mom would be like, okay, what's going on? And I knew I had to tell her and I wouldn't want to, but I knew I would be thankful for it in a little while. So I was very grateful that my parents pushed me to be vulnerable because otherwise I would have kept it in. Mm-hmm. Like, if I could, I would have kept it in probably for my whole life.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad they made me be vulnerable because you can't heal something that you haven't expressed because like my dad says, whatever you keep in the dark is counseled on by the Prince of Darkness. Mm-hmm. So I really had to learn that. So whatever, you had to bring everything into the light if you want it to be healed by the greatest light. So that was good to learn this year.
Really good. Abs?
One of mine was, it was a big risk actually leaving the lake house. It meant so much to me. Before I knew why we were leaving, I never wanted to leave that house. Mm-hmm. It just meant so much memories and everything. Like we lost the 3 labs at the house and put their ashes in the lake. Yeah. And it meant a lot to me because I love dogs. Mm-hmm. And it just, all the memories, because that's kind of like where I remember growing up. I didn't remember the house before that. So it was like a big change leaving it because that's all I knew. I never knew what it was going to be like to be more in the state of a community. Like I never really knew what it was meant to be community. Normally it was just our family and each other were our friends.
Yeah.
But we didn't have like other people around us helping us, like locking arms into. So when we got here, it was like so different from what I remembered in the past. And then it was just a new experience. And another one is being vulnerable. Again, I feel like I've been good at being vulnerable. I know when, but it's really when I get that one-on-one time is when I really feel like I can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like whether it was dad and me, like sometimes my siblings are around and I don't mind that. Like I don't mind my family being with me, but I need it just to be focused on me. Like I need to be asked those questions even though it might be a little hurtful on the inside for a moment. I just know it will really help me. So
that's good stuff. Awesome. You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You are too.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.